Okay, hello and welcome to the Spirit Hunters podcast. Today I'm joined by
Chrissy Holtz, Lisa White Eagle,
Hunter White Eagle,
Monkey, Justin Capron,
Shane White Eagle.
You'll hear us call him Monkey a lot in the videos. So,
and I'm Lance White Eagle, and today we're going to be talking about one of our more interesting investigations. The Portville Mimic House or the Cat House, depending on
who you ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a really good one.
That was. So we went to a
Residential
residential house in Portville, New York. The owner asked us not to disclose the exact location, but we were able to go in there and do an investigation. Shane, you want to talk about how you came across the location?
Well, by accident, we were calling about doing the Enchanted Valley Inn. Little hint, I guess, to the location. And the owner had a couple other places that she thought would be ideal for us to do an investigation. We took a smaller team because we didn't think it was going to be that great of a place, and it was kind of a smallish, but it turned out to be one of our funnest
definitely
investigations.
Probably second most active, or tied for first, depends, But it was very active, right off the bat.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Creepy.
So we decided to go there, and this was
Beginning of
September-ish.
Or end of August, something like that, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was warm out.
Yeah.
And Justin, you and your wife.
We've been doing a lot of investigations lately. It's hard to keep track.
remember you.
Yeah, and Justin and Tana came, Justin's wife, who's couldn't be here with us today. And we got stuff right off the bat.
As we're setting up.
Yeah, you want to
As we were setting up, yep.
So we were setting up. We had all of our Boo base of operations. That was actually his idea. Beautiful name, by the way. The Boo was in the kitchen because that was just the main room you walked in. The first one had the counters, whatever. I don't remember the exact. There was some bangs I think we heard, and there was something else that happened that caused us to be attracted to the basement because that's the first place that Monkey and I went to was in the basement right when we finished.
When we were setting up in the back rear room from the kitchen where our Boo was, I heard a big bang and almost like, for lack of a better analogy, a body being dragged across the room.
Oh, okay.
And we did hear some other footsteps and stuff. As they were setting up too, Lisa and I did a run through with the K2 meter, and we had several hits, especially up on the second floor.
What got us in the basement to begin with is it was being renovated, the place, and the owner and one of the workmen had said they had saw
that mist.
Like a
mist in the
that's
basement,
right.
where an old well was kind of cut into the wall. And as we're setting up, Lise, you had...
Yeah, so me and Shane had went down in the basement and was just, pre-investigation, trying to figure out where things were going to get set up and whatever. And in the back end of the basement, I was standing there and he's talking away looking at the little...
You're talking about where the well is,
where
right?
the
In
little
that back
hole
corner?
in the
Okay.
at the well or whatever. And I'm standing there, and I don't know if the video's posted or not, but I had my butt it was grabbed, and obviously it's not Shane, and it's just me and him down
We were
there.
literally
that
in
one
the
is
middle of a
posted.
conversation,
That's,
and she jumped and goes, "Oh!"
Yeah,
Turns around.
it's in the Portville Mimic House clip that you actually added on Facebook. So if you guys wanted to check that out, go ahead and check it out. But you can see her in there.
We'll put it on YouTube as well when this goes
And we should
out.
add too, that basement was creepy.
Yeah.
Most of the basement was a normal basement, but there was a point where it was a much older part of the house. The original house with a stone foundation, and it had this weird little tunnel that went to a well at one time that had been capped off. And so it was creepy to begin with.
Yeah,
we were looking in that tunnel. Lisa was behind me. We were talking. Something broke.
Yeah, it's like a little 2 foot wide by 8 or 9 feet probably, and
He's talking about the tunnel.
And yeah, and it just we had that's when Matt went to. We got really scared.
Let's go over, since Lise brought it up, the touching. Now, Monkey, you got touched there.
Back
as well.
your leg.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
can you tell us what?
I was when I was in the spirit.
Yeah, I was
box.
on a spirit box. Felt like something like brushed on the back of my leg. Scared me. Jumped up. Pretty good.
That was one of the clips that people see.
Oh,
really
yeah.
like.
I did remember that. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was gonna have to square up with a.
Not even 2
spirit.
minutes before that, it got me right in the back of the calf.
Yeah.
Right, almost the exact same spot, but we were,
And Chrissy was
15
also poked in the back.
Yeah, Chris, you want to talk about your
Yes,
touching?
we were doing the spirit box, and I kept getting touched like right in this one spot in my back. It was like kind of making it spasm. It wouldn't stop. It just kept poking me in the same spot in the back, which was pretty creepy.
And when we say, she said doing a spirit box, that's where we do a sensory deprivation thing. She's got noise deafening earphones on. She has a blindfold. So you're vulnerable already. It forces you to be a little more psychic. That's kind of the point of it. And then she gets that. It's really a creepy experience.
Did you have any other touching?
There was a butt grab.
Yeah,
later
whatever
on.
it was,
Got it
like
with that,
the women, and they,
Yeah.
but a lot of places like that tend to like these two a lot.
They do.
I don't
But
understand.
now, did you guys get any kind of, in general? Now, I know previously, like when we were in Andover, you felt something touch your shoulder or something like that on the spirit box, and you were really excited about it. What was your, Chrissy, like your reaction internally to this?
It was more uncomfortable just because, like, I had even said, like, okay, I don't like this. I sat up, so I wasn't leaning back, and then it just kept doing it. So it was almost like it was trying to get under my skin, so to speak.
It does. We'll get to more of that a little later about how this thing kept, really trying to get under people's skin.
It's an invasion and of something personal. Whether it's a live person or dead, it's not a pleasant thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Justin, you said you had a similar, like, a negative reaction.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you didn't feel like, oh, it's something brushing against my leg.
Yeah, no, it was more like like push up against it, like I don't know, trying to just push my leg out almost.
And he's been touched a couple times before too.
Yeah, we were in one of the previous hotels we went to, the Dudley. That's where I just ran into something hard, like right where in the hallway where there's nothing actually there.
Yeah, you can hear them like something.
Yeah,
like it
he
felt
hit
like
something.
you could hear it and I could feel it like just biting me, like right, just stopped me dead.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah, but you didn't have, like, really a negative
no,
reaction.
that
You were
one was
just like thrown off.
that
what's
one I
going
was
on
confused
here?
on. Yeah, but this one was a lot different.
Yeah. Lise, same for you, or
For which one?
getting cup?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it threw me off guard and caught me off.
You can see her in the video. She's like,
Yeah, I think I
You're
like,
looking all around.
I
Angry
kicked
looking.
my leg up and I was
Yeah.
just like, what?
yeah.
But after her reaction was pretty cool. She was
Actually,
like
didn't I like
laughing a little
swat?
bit.
I think I swatted
Yeah.
to see if there was somebody there. But
And you mentioned the bangs. Now that video will be uploaded, like I said. It should be on YouTube by the time this goes on there. But with nobody in the house, it sounds like
Oh, that loud.
yeah. Well, you guys want to describe like the sounds we were getting on that basement camera?
Even while we were
Like-
still setting up, before it was daylight or dark, we were sitting out having a smoke.
Yeah. We heard a few different types of bangings, but there was one particular sound that happened several times.
Right.
And if any of you guys are aware, anybody watching this, you've ever heard ductwork in a house, right? By your furnace, that kind of thin metal, that banging, like.
Side of a furnace.
Yeah. We heard that bang in that basement so many times. Was that the bang that we heard from outside, or was it just like a door slam type of bang? Because we heard a couple of those too.
Yeah, we heard several, but most of the time, before we started the official investigation, and then every time we took a break or wasn't downstairs for a second, we'd hear this really loud banging we have on
like it was
on tape.
upset that we weren't in there.
Yeah, trying to get our attention.
Yeah, exactly. But It happened several times, and it's on the video as well. But we've heard what sounds like door slamming. You can hear footsteps. But we caught something coming down the stairs behind you two. Those type of sounds as well. But several different
At one point too, when we were all on a break, like a kid running through the house in boots. Or
Yeah.
And the whole house was very thin wood floors, and it was easy to hear. To the point where we a couple of them went to investigate that sound because it was so clear, and we're a good 30, 40 feet away outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they mentioned hearing it when we were outside. Now, Chrissy, you and Matthew heard a loud one coming from upstairs. Was that like ductwork or more like a door slamming?
It sounded kind of like a slamming on metal. It could have even
So
been like
the
a
ductwork
slamming
probably
metal
sound-
door.
Could
kind
be.
of, but
Yeah, there
But-
was that big radiator up there too.
yeah.
Upstairs,
Yeah.
and the kitchen, little mini kitchen with a refrigerator and all that stuff.
Yeah, they had
Could have been any of those things.
Yeah.
Hands.
Now we'll get into some of the kind of more interest. So, in the process of setting up, and you'll hear it on the highlight video, after we set up everything, the cameras, we all went outside. We were sitting around outside. And you hear on the video pretty clear, it's not saying words, but you hear a vocalization that starts out almost sounding like a higher pitched child, and then it transitions into like a deeper tone. And it's just making sounds. And to me, it kind of sounds like it's testing out its range.
Practicing.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Testing, yeah.
who got the first of the mimicry?
Was it you with Lance? Lance's voice? The
No,
boo-boo?
no, that I wasn't the first.
Your brother.
I think it was Tana Monkey. They were getting it back and
Oh,
forth.
she
many
heard
times.
his voice first.
And I remember, Monkey could tell some of what Tana's and his.
Me and my wife, we keep hearing. She would hear me call for her, even though I wouldn't be like. It would be like different part of the house, or I'd be outside.
Yeah, keep in mind, she's got soundproof headphones on with the spirit box cycling through AM stations. So it's really loud in here. You're not going to hear someone else talk.
Yeah.
Well, she also heard it in real time.
Yeah, she
Exactly.
heard it both in real time and on the spirit box, where she heard to sound like my voice calling for her. And a few times, we were even like upstairs the one time, and we heard her voice calling for me to the point where I yelled down to them, and she wasn't talking to us. And
Right.
Yeah, and Lance and I was there with Monkey
Yeah.
too at that time. I didn't even look up because I just assumed she walked up beside him and was talking to him, and I was doing something.
Yeah.
That was coming from the basement.
Yeah, it was coming
from the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she
Absolutely,
just
her
says,
voice perfectly.
Justin,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just
Clear
like
as
you
day.
would to just
Yeah,
calm down.
because we were
Right.
talking in the middle, so I stopped talking, so I turned around and get asked her what she wanted. I didn't know if she needed anything, and she was busy doing their thing down in the basement. So
Yeah, and he says, "Did you guys hear that?" Well, yeah, it was Tana. What you?
Like, no.
nope, sure it wasn't. It was not her.
And then you can tell them about, we heard Shane in the basement.
Yes, we were at the top of the steps, and we
great.
heard kind of like a heavier breathing, and it just sounded like Shane the Shot.
Like I do when I walk up and down steps.
But we swear
We all do. We just don't do it on the mic.
we heard him in the basement, and then he wasn't there. I think he was outside.
He was
at the
outside.
He was
time,
outside, yeah.
But it was definitely like there was some sort of like it sounded like human breathing.
Yeah, we're all pretty familiar with each other.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own like
oh, hey,
tones
this
and
was who?
things.
Yeah.
And it was definitely sounded like Shane.
Yeah.
Standing right beside the steps to come down, just standing there breathing,
Yeah.
which was a little.
But it was more of like he's exaggerating the breathing so that we could hear.
Oh, so you
something.
could hear it. Yeah, we could hear it
Yeah.
in the kitchen.
That wasn't imitating him. It was imitating the sound we heard.
We also heard Aiden, my and Lisa's daughter, who wasn't even at the investigation, in the basement when we were out there on a break,
Yeah.
and it said
Yeah,
something about happy.
like,
what was
I'm
it?
happy.
I'm
Yeah,
happy.
I'm happy.
Sounds exactly
Sounds like-
like
I mean,
that. And then we were watching it because we were like,
Oh,
that
that's
was
what's
Aiden.
really creepy because that See,
Yeah.
I can see it mimicking our voices, right?
Yeah.
It hears us talking. But when he can mimic a voice that's of a person that wasn't even there, that was what
Yeah,
was disturbing. And then the other thing that happened that was similar, personal things that, like I call my brother, a nickname from since he was a baby. It knew that. I hadn't called him that at the place, but it said that to him.
Yeah.
So those kinds of things. And then you and Monkey heard Lisa
Yeah.
when you were going upstairs.
Yeah, when we were on the top
Yeah.
of stairs. Yeah, we heard Lisa.
Well, I was going to elaborate a little on the Aiden first, because when we first watched that,
We didn't even think about it.
we were watching the video. You hear Aiden say, "Oh, I'm happy," and I think it was Shane actually. He goes, "Oh, that's nice. I'm glad she was having fun," and we just kept watching the video. And like
Wait
5
a
seconds
minute.
later, Hunter goes, "Aiden wasn't there," so we had to rewind, and we were like, "Oh." Yeah, like she was
that-
not
No,
here.
she didn't
Right,
go.
and we
And
can
that
recognize her
happened
voice.
too.
We know it more
Yeah.
better than anybody.
You heard that big bang on like the furnace, like which was kind of right next to it, and then
And then right after,
right after
yeah,
that, you
it's-
heard.
I'm happy. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm happy. Yeah.
There's also me humming when I wasn't actually humming.
Yeah.
Oh
You
yeah.
can hear
kept
me
thinking you were
talking.
like Chrissy does that hum every once in a while. She'll randomly just start making hum
But
noise.
this was
with
a
it.
very monotone. Like you could hear me talking in the basement at the same time. The camera was upstairs, and you hear this, just very monotone, like repetitive hum. But I am not in the room.
No, and it's definitely your vocal
her
Yeah.
tone. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like.
And then Justin and I were upstairs by the stairwell, and we could hear Lisa talking in what would have been the front room, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
living room downstairs.
Yeah.
Just talking away to somebody, but getting no responses.
Nope.
So then we radioed, and Lisa's outside.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
the
Lisa
exact
and I
same.
both were outside sitting down.
That's the exact same room where we heard those footsteps, those
Yeah, we're
boot prints running across the.
Yeah.
Sounds
that
like
same room.
because you wear your boots all the time. We were like, well,
We're like, but Lance ain't running.
you running.
No, I don't run nowhere.
But-
You and Monkey heard Tana and I laughing too, correct?
Well, that was
Yeah.
me.
All of us guys.
Yeah.
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 And we radioed in. We're like, "Do you guys just laugh?" And then Tana didn't realize it. She said no without actually hitting the walkie button, and they started laughing. But
Oh,
no,
yeah.
we did. We were watching. We stunk up the video and timed it up. You guys weren't laughing. You laughed, 10 seconds later after we made that joke. But whatever this was at this house, successfully
It was
mimicked
clever.
other people's voices. And
It was
very clever.
creepy. And like personally, a couple times when I was in the basement, the first time I went there, I didn't feel nothing. I'm just sitting there getting, and then all of a sudden I got energized the second time. I get all the hair sticking up, and I just felt something. And then later that night, it happened again, and just it was kind of cool. And I think everybody had some kind of little personal experience. Monkey with the deprivation
Yeah.
thing.
Like I
We
said-
all had something that was a little.
Right away, because we went in the basement almost immediately.
Yeah.
And we were on the side of the basement that wasn't the active side when we were actually investigating. And we kept getting very clear EVPs through the spirit box in response to what we're saying, almost, verbatim. Like, "Hey, are you a male? Yes. Are you a girl? How old? Whatever." And it was like, you could hear them. And then a little on towards the end of that clip, it kind of got to the point where we couldn't hear them. But almost immediately, I'm sure everybody, when they first were figuring something out, was getting something.
Also, on the one recording, Lance and I, we usually wear cowboy boots on investigations, so it's a pretty telltale step. We're going down the steps, and you see me and Lance going down the steps, and you hear our normal steps. We both reach the bottom of the stairs, and then you hear an additional 2 footsteps that sound exactly like our footsteps on the
Yeah,
stairs.
like something was following behind you.
And you also heard me talking to you.
Yes, I heard
Something.
it was on the spirit box. You said like babe or something like that. It was in your voice like he was trying to get my attention, but it obviously was not him talking to me through the radio. So unless something is wrong with me.
Did you have any mimicky experiences, Lise?
Sadly, no.
I don't think I did either.
I
I'm
didn't.
mimicking you guys, but I mean, I witnessed you guys, but
It was
Well-
really cool listening to other people's experiences. When Lance or when Chrissy and Tanner were in the basement, they were getting all those responses, and they were, we were listening upstairs. It was fun to listen to everybody's experience.
Oh, let's talk about that, because that's a really good clip we have. So you can go ahead and
Oh.
elaborate on your basement.
We were doing another spirit box experiment, whatever we want to call it, and I was sitting
Session.
in a chair in the basement, and Tana had the headphones on, and she was listening to it, and something on the spirit box said, "Listen to us." And at that moment, I heard a whisper in my ear, and I actually felt the air on my ear. Like somebody was right next to me whispering.
It's creepy.
You can hear
And
it.
we got that on video
Yeah.
Yeah.
and audio on a couple different devices.
And that's also in that evidence video we have on our Facebook channel.
Yep.
Spirit Hunters Inc. Go ahead and check us out. Gotta plug it.
We also had an issue. We had the cat balls, the vibration balls, or whatever you want to call them, going off in different rooms.
Laser
had-
grid picking things up.
Yep, lights being turned off. Or the staircase we put some up for safety
And-
reasons
Our
multiple
tape
times.
recorders,
Oh
they're
yes,
constantly getting shut off.
or put on pause, which is weird.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of different things like that. We also had some equipment actually just being turned off.
We also caught an
Strange.
actual shadow manifesting right in the middle of the screen, and
We should note too, we got a lot of EVP recordings and EMF recordings. EMF readings were going off the wall. At one point I did on camera where we put it on the breaker box, got like a 0.3 or something like that. But we were getting bigger readings in other parts of the house than the actual 120 volt amp service.
Yeah.
You know.
I also almost forgot on one of the videos, I think it's me, Hunter, and Justin are in the basement, and you're on the spirit box, Christine. And we're squatted down in front of the camera, us three.
Oh yeah.
You,
was-
you remember that?
it was
yeah.
all four of us. Because it was
Yeah.
you, Chrissy, and then me and Monkey. Chrissy
Yeah.
was in front. Yeah.
But you can hear me say, go, oh.
Yeah.
And it didn't click until I'm watching them going through to edit them. I talk a few minutes afterwards, and my voice coming out of me is coming from a different direction
And probably
than me
doesn't
that
sound
says,
quite-
oh.
Yeah.
The O is like further
Oh, yeah?
away.
Yeah.
And then when you hear me talk, I'm right under the camera.
Yep.
And it sounds different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
During that
cool.
same session, though, was when we saw. Well, we didn't see it in person, but we caught the shadow thing form up right in the middle of the screen, and then it kind of walked and just disappeared.
On the heat.
Yeah, on
Great.
the IR with the grid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that same session. You could see us all four there, and then something just wakes up, walks in the middle of the screen, just disappears just like
Yeah.
that.
You wanted to talk about the leather?
bracelets. We wear a strip of leather. We actually, I think, talked about it in one of our previous
last
podcasts, maybe the last one. But it's a form of protection, and it was, I think, 3 different times my bracelet was untied, and I believe yours was untied at one point as well.
Mine was like, and I didn't even think about it because we hadn't even gone in the house yet. I had one of you guys tied for me on the porch, probably you, Chrissy. And we were still standing on the porch of that house waiting for the owner to come and open it. And I felt, something, and I looked, and it was the leather just caught my, shirt sleeve. And I was like, oh, what the, tied it back on. But you had it come off 3 times.
It was 3 different
And
times.
then
And the first,
other people, had knotted it.
the first time I thought nothing of it because I just figured I didn't knot it properly. But then after the couple other times, and we made sure it was tied really tight, and it just kept coming undone.
And in various investigations, we've had that issue. Monkey's had it 2 or 3
Yeah,
times
yeah.
too. Once with me, I believe, at the Stone House.
And now you and Tana also got, it was answering by shaking the cat ball at one point, right?
Yes.
Do you remember any of the questions you were getting?
Not necessarily, because I would have to rewatch the footage. It's
Yeah.
been a while, so.
Okay.
You
And,
got some activity with the cat ball too, didn't you?
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
In the
Shane-
rear
yeah.
metal
yeah.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got, and it was kind of telling you guys that it needed help or something like that, right? At one point.
Oh yeah, Lisa and I were asking intelligent questions and getting responses, and using the cat ball, as a yes answer. We answered several questions. I don't even remember. Some of them was about some woman that lived there, and that she got on a rod, so we were following up on those questions. The cat ball, by the way, is a little ball that you have to vibrate, and it has LED lights that flash when it's moved, and it takes a significant amount of movement. So we had yes or no questions for a good 20 minutes or so. Then all that stuff happened with Chrissy and Tana downstairs, and Tana kept running upstairs to tell us, and then when we went back to it, we couldn't get to talk to us again. It's like, nope, I'm done.
Well, probably followed somebody else upstairs and wanted to talk up there, but
Is there any other incidences? Because I want to get to still talking about this here
beer
in a
box
second.
session with me that kind of creeped me out a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. And it doesn't happen often, but I was on the spirit box and sorry.
Okay.
I kept hearing whatever it was. It could be something different at the time, but whatever it was in my head kept saying lean back, sit back, lean back, trying to get me to lay down for whatever reason.
Not in your head, but
Through the
you
spirit
were
box,
hearing it on
yeah.
the spirit box.
And for whatever reason, because we already had the vibe that this thing wasn't nice.
It wasn't a pleasant feeling.
Yeah. And
A little malicious.
for whatever reason, in my head, the first thing that popped in was oh, this thing wants to get my throat. So I'm like, I ain't leaning back. I'm staying right here. But it's what it kept saying. It was lean back, sit back, head back, or something like that. It kept emphasizing the same thing over, and I keep saying it in the video.
Lay down.
Lay down, yeah, and it's just whatever. And why would it say it so many different ways, so many different times? What did it?
Yeah, if it's just
What
a
did it
random
want to
signal you're
me?
picking up.
Want me to do?
Plus,
I
you
don't know.
were in the super creepy part of the basement,
right by that
the
well. Yeah, and,
Right.
Yeah,
We've noticed too that when things seem to be a little more negative, whatever makes us nervous personally, we'll try to take advantage of. I think that's what happened with Monkey on the spirit box there. He was a little, nervous about, going into that corner, and then what happens?
Yeah, just like you said, the spirit box cycles through all those stations, but all I kept getting was different screams through every station, and to a point we didn't even start asking questions, and
blood curdling.
yeah, it's to the point where I wasn't on there very long.
He's like,
that was
I'm
out.
done. He just started screaming at him. And,
Yeah,
it wasn't fun.
Yeah, let's kind of address like you said, this. We talked about as we were watching the videos. Whatever was in this place seemed to purposely be
Trying to
needle everybody in
different
ways.
Yeah.
What would make him uncomfortable?
Yeah.
With the women, it touched them inappropriately.
Yeah.
With Monkey, apparently screaming was his trigger.
And
with
his
Tana
wife.
having her
Yeah.
husband call out for her.
Yeah, to where she
over
actually
and over.
got off
Yeah.
the spirit box
Yeah.
and I had to go
For you.
check on my husband.
Right.
Walked upstairs.
For me, what was annoying me the most is that it kept being touchy with you guys, and Tana was really you can hear her in the one video. She's
disturbed.
like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm going outside.
She got a lot of stuff that happened with her. All the women did, but especially Tana, to the point because she hadn't been on an investigation like that. I don't think she was at the Dudley with
Yeah,
her.
she was at the
No.
Oh, no,
That's
she
why
wasn't.
she wanted to go back there.
And that was, to that point, was the most active place we had been
go
to.
back.
She hadn't experienced that yet. So it was her first time. It was a little bit she was overwhelmed. I did feel kind of bad for her that night. But she also, later, after she relaxed, she seemed to really have a good time. But it did seem to push some buttons.
Well, and she
Not so
did
much
go
with
back
me,
too. She went back to do the spirit box session later
Yeah,
with Chrissy.
yeah, she did.
And
but
she was listening to
Yeah.
me. I think that was one of the ones that she caught right before she heard the.
that was
whatever.
during their first one.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think what was annoying me the most was
Those birds.
The birds, no, was like when you got touched in the butt, we were side by side, like our shoulders were touching, and she feels something, grab her butt. I think that was kind of its angle for Shane. It was trying to get to him because you guys got responses like it was a child needing help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with me, it's not the easiest to scare me, but I am a sucker for little kids, and and I think that's probably what it was doing. It was trying to get under my, make me feel empathy.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right, for whoever wants to, Lisa, let's just get your opinion. Like, in your experience, like you said in our first episode, you grew up in haunted houses. Like, does a typical ghost have that kind of ability to sound like people who aren't even there? And
oh yeah, I mean,
think so?
I do, because like I said, y'all are familiar with my Ridge Road house, with my stories.
But
and
I wouldn't call that a typical ghost.
No, that's not typical. Nothing typical about that.
But like there, I would hear all kinds of stuff. People talking, the footsteps. I mean,
You should explain a little bit about that building, what it was and stuff before you guys moved.
Oh, our house?
Yeah.
Portal to heaven.
Well, it was the very first house, not even a house, built on our street, like horse and buggy. And it was a general store. And then it turned into like different places. General store, it went to...
Your house did?
Yep. It got added on, and then it was a home for schoolgirls.
Orphanage for a little bit
Yeah.
too.
Really? Wow.
And then
Stagecoach
more
style.
rooms were added on, and it was a home for old people, and then turned into a residential home. So,
So a lot of stuff happened. A lot of history
people
there.
in and
I
out.
don't think what was in that house would be typical.
No, that was creepy.
Yeah.
That's typical for her.
that was an everyday thing. I mean,
Yeah.
you get used
Lisa's
to
a little
it.
more sensitive to the other side.
Yeah.
So when we're making these jokes, it's because
Well, to me, like a typical ghost, they'll whisper to you or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, say, like the white lady,
Yep.
I don't think, and of course none of us know for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think like a regular ghost like that would have the ability to change her voice.
Not a normal, basic, everyday run of the mill.
Just for her to be able to be heard at all would take an incredible amount of energy
And-
from a regular
By
spirit.
the white
humming
lady,
and
they're
stuff that we
talking
heard.
about. Do you want to explain
Oh, the white lady.
a little bit since we're
just-
mentioning
just
the white lady?
a ghost where we'll get more into that in a later episode.
I mean,
We're
I'm
gonna
the
talk-
white lady, but besides that,
That is pretty good. That's
That was a good joke.
in a later episode, we're going to talk about our personal ghost stuff. But
Yeah.
for now,
But
like,
this
it's gonna
house
come up.
had portals too. That's what at least that was rumored to.
Her old one.
So that was a completely different kind of
Lisa's
haunting.
house.
Yeah.
She went from seeing the weird neon green lights flying through the house, and it's not just her; the entire family did, and people that visited the house did.
Oh, I had friends that stopped coming over because they would see things, hear
Yeah.
things. I had cousins that he'd come to visit, and he's like, your phone's ringing, aren't you going to answer it? The phone wasn't ringing, but he could hear the phone ringing all the time, and he would see things peeking around the corner, and then he's like, I'm out of here.
So it was kind of more similar to the Portville house.
It was, and it could be a similar thing going on there. The Portville house is built on all that sandstone. It's also got that water source literally right there in the same building. At the very least, whatever's there was probably using that to magnify its strength, its energy. In her place, we might as well just talk about it. It's not something they're going to see on any other show. We had native medicine people, and we're not going to get into too much of that came from
British Columbia.
To this house, and what I guess most white people call exercised it, pretty much. And that's what they said. There was at least 2 portals, I believe. One was under the base or the staircase. One was in your closet or something.
I know, I remember the one upstairs in the closet, and that's where she went and spent some time up there. She thought she was only in there for minutes, but she was in there for hours,
Right.
sitting in the closet.
Yeah, who is she?
So more of like a time loop type
I don't know if you should
Yeah.
say the name.
Not the name, but
She's a medicine, her and her
a
husband.
medicine person.
Yeah. The ones we used in the past, except they're hours and hours and hours away,
Yeah.
but they're very good. They're very good people, and they really know their stuff.
Yeah.
That's how, by the way, we'll tell you in a different way later, is how our families came.
Well, I
linked.
talked about it in my blog too.
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
a
Yeah.
whole section
So-
of Ridge Road
Where can they find that?
Ghostly Encounters. No,
Chronicles.
Ghostly Chronicles. Ghostly and Chronicles.
Chronicles.com. So yeah, but that's what I was kind of trying to get at here before we get to the questions.
You think it was something more than just a regular ghost?
I don't think it
Oh,
was.
there was
I don't
lots of
think
stuff there.
The
I don't think it
thing
was a
well,
in
regular
Not
Portville.
How?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that
I
was
don't think
regular
the thing
ghost
in
at all.
Portville-
No, that was something.
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
different tiers, and that was on a whole different tier than.
Right. I
White
think that
lady.
there was some regular spirits there in Portville, but
absolutely.
that was a different thing.
Yeah.
But those, if whatever was there, if there was, we didn't get much of that because I think whatever was there kind of
Well, Lisa and I
put them on the
did
back
yeah,
seat type of
dominated.
thing.
K2 and stuff upstairs.
Yeah.
Initially, but that whatever in the basement kind of just overshadowed
Yeah.
it. Kind of,
Yeah,
you know.
that thing
Yeah,
would.
well, it wasn't just in the basement.
It went
No,
through
it
all floors,
expanded
both
after
apartments.
it. I think
Yeah.
when it realized it could get attention and maybe draw off of us,
In
then
travel
it just
different
kind of,
pla- yeah.
you know, honed in on what we were doing.
Yeah, we heard Chrissy's humming on the second floor. You heard me on the third floor.
That's what we
Yeah.
had.
We were-
Lisa,
you
we were on
two
the second
heard-
floor.
We were
Yeah.
getting.
You and Lance heard something on the third floor in that stairway, didn't you?
Yeah, that was when
Yeah,
we heard
we
Lisa.
It
Yeah.
was Tana and I in the other section on the top floor. We were getting stuff with the cat ball.
And
Yeah,
it's a good
responding to
important to
yours.
note too that it's not just ghosts of people dead that we're encountering. It could be lots of different types of paranormal beings, from spirits from spirits that were never human in the first place. It could have been elemental for all we know, based on the water and the stone. It could be a lot of things, or it could have been even poltergeist from all the stuff that that reportedly happened there before.
Yeah, but like to mimic Aiden.
That's
would
a
mean
different
that
thing.
It pulled from our brains.
Yeah.
Right,
Because
which
it's not-
shouldn't be able to
voice
do
of
that,
somebody
and
who's
regular
not
ghosts
there.
cannot do that.
And
Yeah.
before any of
I
the
don't
viewers
think a
say,
poltergeist can do
And we're not quick to say demonic.
well, let me put this out. Before anybody in the viewers say, no, it's not like she heard us on a phone call. She didn't call us, nothing. There's no way this thing ever would have even heard her voice unless somehow it got, up here
Yes.
in some way,
And
But-
and regular spirits, they're like us. It's not like they can just jump into our brain.
Exactly.
Other stuff can, and I'm even in a position to presume what that was yet. I wanted to go back to that place. Too bad it's now got a new owner. But
Yes, it was sold, and like I said, the owner didn't necessarily want. It was kind of a private thing, and she said it's all right if we talk about it, if we share the clips, but
There's no
not
location,
to,
names.
Yeah, no
names, right?
So let's move on here because we've been going
Question
a little while to
time.
some of our questions. Yeah, some of the questions we've had written in. Our first one for today is how does one go about getting rid of a ghost in their house?
We just talk about just ghosts in general, or
A
like
ghost. Say that their house is haunted. What are some of the things they could?
how we go about it.
Yeah, I think.
Shane's the expert.
Yeah, let him
I wouldn't say expert, but
around.
once
that.
again, there's different kinds of spirits. So there's different things. And some of the stuff that, that we may do to get rid of things other than, the previous dead, we probably won't discuss how we do that. But for regular, it's like a lot of people now are mimicking with sage cleaning. We use, in our smudge pot, we use sage, we use cedar, we use sweetgrass, and that also helps
Right
with
there,
the prayer,
trying to grab
the
it.
sweetgrass especially, and it helps cleanse. And that's how typically you do that, if it's just a regular ghost. But most of the time, we just learn to live with them unless there's something, negative.
Anything you'd like to add from your experiences, Chris? Coming from a bit of a different...
Christy has a haunted parrot.
Haunted
Haunted parrot.
Yeah. A possessed one.
Yeah.
So let's go around the table. We'll start with you then, Christine. The most haunted location you've been so far. It could be on a hunt, could be just in your
I mean, I think
experience.
for the most activity I've seen, it would either be the Mimic House or the Dudley. Between those two.
Those are good ones. Elise, I think we heard a little bit about yours.
Everywhere she goes.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah.
Just my house, my childhood home. Portals to the underworld, like
You know.
like you do.
And 13th Street. I mean,
Oh, that was.
That was-
Ooh, we'll have to talk about that maybe at a different time. That's a pretty good one.
So your answer would be just places you've lived.
well,
Just my house in general.
Where I am.
My haunted location is here.
hey, what can I say? No, but from our investigations, I kind of agree with you with the Mimic / Kitty House. But I don't really have personal experiences like you guys do, because I do mostly the rod, so I get a lot more answers and responses that way. But the Dudley was pretty cool too, and I think Hen Coop got some
Yeah,
EVPs and
Hen
some
Coop.
stuff
Yeah.
from there.
Genesee Falls, the most recent one. We got a
Yeah,
lot of
that had
lot of
actually a
stuff
lot
there.
more activity
in
than I
a
thought was
lot
going
of
to,
different
yeah.
places. So that's most likely different things, because that building was massive.
And we were able to verify some of our experiences and some of the stuff
Through
she
an
got
outside
from Rob.
source,
Right,
yeah. Mhm.
outside sources.
Sources.
So you're going to Genesee Falls.
Genesee Falls, or that house. I just spilled my drink, but yeah, that was definitely one of the most.
Monk.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the Mimic House in Dudley too. I know we've experienced lots of things just even growing up, but as for just one solid place for me, it'd have to be one of those two places.
Of where we went. What about personally?
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like for the most.
For the most
stuff
stuff that happened. I mean,
Oh, the most stuff?
yeah.
Yeah, probably not the most frightening experience. So he's got some good ones. We'll tell you on some future show.
Yeah.
Personally, there was a mountain that we weren't supposed to be on in Cherokee, North Carolina. On 3 times I've been there, had some really crazy stuff. Probably the most powerful place I've ever been. On our investigations, I would probably say the Mimic House overall is one of the most, that we've had experience-wise.
Yeah, I'd probably have to go with that too. That's the Mimic House. I think we've got the most evidence on video
Yeah.
and audio. So our next one is, can a spirit actually hurt you?
Who wants to start with that one?
Well,
Are we talking about physical or emotional hurt?
They can get you real good emotionally.
Do you have an opinion?
Physical or emotional, or how are we?
I think it's
whatever.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think it depends. There's different types of entities, so I think it
Let's
depends
say-
on, just typically, as long as, I believe it was in a previous podcast we were talking about this, but as long as you're safe, you practice safe precautions, things like that, I think that you're fairly safe from harm. There are certain occasions, yes, there's poltergeists, there's evil entities out there that I believe could hurt you mentally, physically. Is that the majority of the things you're going to experience? No, those are very minute
Yeah.
circumstances.
Okay, Elise, what do you think? And not in your haunted houses, but in a typical haunted house, is there say somebody moves into a house and they're having some kind of supernatural activity, should they be worried about physical harm?
I mean, everybody's different, but if you're basing it off general public, I'm sure, I mean, their first thing is probably going to be scared and thinking, is this thing going to hurt me? But
But do you think it can't hurt them?
I think in some aspect they can, but
We talking about just any spirit or just
Your common run-of-the-mill ghost.
I mean,
I
would
think
say
so. Now, does that mean they can't move things and do stuff? Yes. No, I mean, but I don't think they. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
it
like-
kind of just depends.
So, like at the you got scratched like that one.
Yeah, but that-
I mean, it's minor. Like, yeah.
That I don't know if it was from that other thing in the room or if it
That's
was
true.
just
Yeah, that's true.
run of the mill type of thing.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
Wait,
I mean,
Your typical ghost.
typical ghosts.
Yeah.
Probably not. I don't feel like. I mean,
You're on camera.
like any of my experiences, I've never felt like I was gonna get hurt with like the run of the mill like typical stuff.
Yeah.
It's emotionally maybe a little bit.
Shady?
Yeah, anything can hurt something, especially if it's old enough or developed enough. It certainly could. Typically, it don't happen. They're just like us. Most people aren't going around trying to hurt people, but you make something angry, and if it has the strength, it could hurt you. And at certain things, depending on if they're not just regular ghosts, absolutely they can hurt you. And a lot of people are emotionally also, have things that can really scare them.
Yeah, I don't think the typical average like haunted house like that you have
No.
necessarily work physical harm, but I do think there's a lot of entities that can feed off of you in a way emotionally,
yeah.
and even increase arguments between the peoples in the house and things like that.
Well, one of the things we do is we deliberately try not to antagonize anything. Because by antagonizing, you get something strength, and you could get to a place where somebody could be hurt or something else happen. But we avoid that.
Okay, now I guess whoever wants to jump in here, a last one for this session. What's the difference between a residual and an intelligent haunting? Hunter?
Guys, anybody?
Yeah, I'm gonna give that one to you.
Well, yeah.
I don't know the actual difference.
A residual haunting is like a record player.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a caption of time, something that happened, whether traumatic or something that somebody's doing on a routine basis, where they're going upstairs, in and upstairs, in and upstairs, and then that gets saved, whether it's in the frame woodwork of the house, whatever. That energy gets saved, and it just replays like a record. Usually at a certain intervals of time, and it's the exact same way. That's not an intelligent person. It's not going to respond to you. It's just going back and forth doing the same thing over and over and over. Not an intelligent haunting. It's just like an imprint in time. Intelligent haunting is a much different thing. It's like us.
How would you classify an intelligent one, Chris and Lisa?
well, like what he said, the residual one is things that happen like as a routine,
Yeah.
White lady.
Yeah. I mean, she's pretty residual, but
Who?
The white lady.
a white lady.
A lot of times with the intelligent hauntings, like they'll actually respond back to you. There's some sort of back and forth, or it's almost like they have a choice of what they.
If they're responding to
Yeah.
you, it's an intelligent
Yeah.
haunting.
Yeah.
And the white lady is definitely. We've heard her sing. She whispered in my ear once, "The house looks beautiful." So that's definitely an intelligent response.
looks
That's not
over the
something she
railing
says
at
to
me.
everybody's ear on March 15th of every
Yeah.
year or something.
Yeah.
So I think the white
Yeah.
lady in here is definitely.
Yeah, so if you're trying to determine, which I think the question was, if it's something like you said, every Friday at midnight the captain appears in the third-story window of whatever,
Right.
that's probably not an intelligent haunting.
Right.
That's
A residual,
just a
most likely.
residual.
Yeah.
If it exhibits some kind of will, or can answer questions, or deviates from a set pattern, then it would indicate that it has some kind of intelligence, some kind of will of its own. So I think we'll wrap it up there. As I mentioned, we'll be putting up the video of clips, some of the highlights from
The Mimic House.
Mimic House. We'll be on the YouTube channel. So yeah, anything else you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for. Make sure you follow us on our various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, if it still exists by the time this podcast is out. Follow our YouTube channel. Make sure to like and comment.
Subscribe.
TikTok and
TikTok.
TikTok,
and,
our website.
Our website, yeah. SpiritHunters.group. That's got all the major platforms down there. Go ahead and follow us on there.
Easy link.
All right. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you soon.
See you later.